This interview is for the Westchester Area School District's Legacy Project. We're here interviewing Miss Nancy Furtick. Our first question is, what school did you graduate in, and what year was it?
I graduated from Henderson High School in the year 1966.
Okay. Was there any bullying going on in your school, kind of like there is now in schools?
No, not really. Bullying of students of other students? No, I would say not.
It's more of a modern day thing?
Yes, I mean there were problems with, there were kids who acted out and were severely disciplined by the assistant principals. But as far as bullying of other students, I don't recall that being the case.
And what year did you graduate from Henderson?
1966.
How did you get to school? Did you walk to school, a bus?
Oh, I took a bus to high school. You're talking about, because I lived in the southwest end of town. So to go to Henderson required a bus.
All right. What subjects did you take in middle and high school?
In middle school, my subjects were pretty much geography. There was some world history, English, biology, French. I took French. High school, I was in the business class, classes. So I had something called shorthand, which you probably don't know what it is. Shorthand, typing, business math, business practices, office machines.
How many students were in your graduating class?
There were about 425.
What grades were in like elementary school, middle school, and high school?
Well, I'll have to tell you that I started out in a one-room schoolhouse.
Oh, really?
And I went to practically every elementary school in this town, beginning with the Sconnelltown Schoolhouse, which was a one-room grade school out in East Bradford Township where I lived in first and second grade. That was 1954, 1955. So for those 2 consecutive years, I was at the one-room schoolhouse. The next year, which put me in 3rd grade, I was then sent to High Street School. There's a lot of movement at that time with, I believe it was integrating the schools, and unfortunately both my parents are deceased. I really can't answer why I was sent to so many different schools, but I went to 3rd grade at High Street and I went on a bus. I didn't remain at High Street for 4th grade. I was then moved to Gay Street School, which was later called Fugit, which is the school name that you are now in. And I was there for 4th grade. The next year, they finally built a community school in my neighborhood in East Bradford, which I spent my 5th and 6th grade years there, because at that time there was no middle school. It was junior high school. And the 3 grades of the school that you're now in was comprised of 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grades.
It was sort of more of a junior high?
It was a junior high then, yes.
How is your school experience unique from how it is today?
Probably several ways. I would say that, first of all, teachers were, I don't know if they are today, but the teachers were always right. There was not a lot of questioning of teachers by parents or students. Parents didn't volunteer in schools much then. I don't recall that they did at all. I think we still, well, maybe not in the junior high, but in the elementary years, I think there was still a moment of silence or prayer at school in the mornings with the Pledge of Allegiance. when I was in high school, we had something that they don't have today, and because it was a town school, Henderson had a little deli called the School Bell. The building is still there across the street from Henderson, but it's closed. I don't think it's in any kind of operation, but it was called the School Bell, and it was a place where kids would come just before school and after school, get a Coke, a hamburger, you know, and just hang out and talk. So that was a pretty neat experience for us to have, which you don't have today.
Would you say that that was your most memorable experience of schooling, or is there something else that really?
No, I think what I remember as a memorable experience, whether it's, you're not asking me whether it was positive or not,
Yeah.
but in 9th grade biology, we had to dissect a frog, and my lab partner, when it came to where you had to pith the brain of the frog before you could dissect it, Al fell off. He passed out, fell off the lab stool onto the floor. We had to call the nurse to bring smelling salts to bring him around again. So that was one. That was very memorable.
Were the schools were the schools integrated, or were they segregated at this time?
They were integrated. I mean, even in my first and second grade at the Sconnell Town Schoolhouse, when I look at a picture of our classes, there were 1/4, I would say 1/4 of that whole class. Now that was probably 1st through 4th grade, but it was integrated.
And were some classes throughout your schooling, were they separated by gender too?
Never.
No.
Not in my experience, no.
Did you go on any field trips at your school?
In high school, I remember a field trip to New York, to the United Nations, to the New York Stock Exchange. We went to Washington, D.C. Elementary school, I'll never forget the trip we took to the King Ranch. That is outside of town in Unionville, on what is now the Doe Run area farm. There was a Texas ranch actually that had longhorn cattle, and it was immense. That was a big trip. That was in 3rd grade, and I remember that we had to make a project after we visited there about it.
What after-school activities were there? Were there a lot of them, or not so many?
There weren't so many. You know, we had something called intramural sports.
We have that in
You still have them, where you just play against one another. Oh, I thought that they did. They must have brought those back, because for a while I don't think you had them. I was a cheerleader for a while in junior high and played in the band. In high school, not so much. I was involved with a YMCA and high school kind of liaison group called the Tri-High-Y. It was just a volunteer organization. We organized dances at the Y for kids, and we did benefit things for people in the town. And I know for a while I did a lot of typing and proofreading for the yearbook. That was pretty much the extent of my after-school extracurricular activities.
Would you say that technology and all has really changed the school experience from when you went, the advancements in technology?
Oh, there isn't any question about it. That it has absolutely done a lot to change it. We obviously had nothing like that. And I think, are you asking me for my opinion about whether it's better or just, yeah, I'm sure that there have been many advancements though because of technology.
Is the school layout very similar today than it was back then?
Yes.
Like switching from class to class?
Oh, it was absolutely the same. Yes. Yeah, we changed classes. I think, as far as elementary school, though, we did not. And I think in the elementary schools today, there is some changing of classes, maybe for just a couple of subjects. We had everything in our same homeroom class.
Thank you for doing this interview.
Thank you very much. You're quite welcome.